The farmer is shocked to see the homeless disabled woman take her child to an interview. The morning light flickered over the city, a stark contrast to the shadows clinging to Bianca's heart. She stood on the sidewalk, gripping Leah's tiny hand, her heart pounding like a drum. They were heading to an important interview, her chance to change their lives. But every step felt like walking through quicksand. She could hear the hum of the bustling city around them, sirens blaring, people rushing, each lost in their own world. Today she wasn't just a single mother struggling with a disability. Today she was a warrior fighting for her daughter's future. The tall buildings loomed above them, casting long shadows that seemed to whisper her fears. "You won't be good enough," the voice in her head taunted. She shook it off, focusing on Leah's excited chatter about the colours of the sky. Just then, a farmer with a weathered face lifted his head, his brow furrowed in disbelief. "There's... Mommy, look!" Leah giggled as a bird swooped down low, snatching a crumb from the sidewalk. For a moment, everything felt lighter. Bianca allowed herself a small smile, but it vanished when she caught sight of the building. The glass facade glittered like a polished jewel, and the sharp-clad professionals moving inside seemed worlds away from her reality. Doubt clawed at her. "Stay close, Leah," she urged, swallowing hard. Memories flashed through her mind. Julio's angry face. The bitterness of abandonment. Thoughts of him loomed like a dark cloud. He could show up any moment. Just the idea sent a shiver down her spine. As they stepped inside, the air thickened with ambition and tension. Laughter and conversation filled the expansive lobby. Yet Bianca felt utterly alone. She could almost hear the whispers. "Look at her! What's she doing here?" She squared her shoulders, fighting the nagging feeling of inadequacy. She quickly scanned the room. Professional women in tailored suits bustled by, their heels clicking against the marble floor. "Mommy!" Leah tugged at her sleeve, eyes wide. "Are we getting a job?" "Yes, sweetie," Bianca replied, her voice steadier than she felt. They walked further in, but just as they reached the door to the interview room, her phone buzzed violently. Her heart froze. It was a text from Julio. Just the sight of his name sent dread spiraling through her. "Where are you? I need to talk." Panic seized her. The environment around her blurred for a moment. She felt like she was standing on the edge of a cliff, teetering between hope and despair. Should she go in or retreat? Her mind raced. She glanced down at Leah, who was smiling, completely unaware of the storm brewing inside her mother. Bianca's hand tightened around her phone, a battle between courage and hesitation written across her face. The moment hung in the air, thick with uncertainty. Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without notice. Just give that red button down below a quick check to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming your way. And while you're at it, leave a powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation! The moment hung in the air, thick with uncertainty, when a figure burst into the lobby, cutting through the tension like a jagged knife. A woman, wild-eyed and dishevelled, stumbled forward. shouting as if the world depended on it. "Bianca, stop!" Bianca's heart stopped, a bolt of fear shooting through her. Juliana! The sight of her childhood friend, usually so composed, had her reeling. The memories flooded back in a rush. Bright summer days, laughter, promises of forever. Now, Juliana looked like a ghost. "Mummy!" Leah's innocence echoed loudly in the chaos, her small hand tightening around Bianca's. "Get away from her!" Juliana screamed, her voice cracking. Panic pulsed through the room. Heads turned, professionals paused mid-conversation, eyes darting between them. "What?" "Juliana, what's going on?" Bianca asked, confusion lacing her voice. The fear was evident on the faces of nearby onlookers. Whispers ignited among them. "Is she okay? What's happening?" Suddenly, Juliana stumbled forward, breathless. "He's here! Julio's in the building!" The name hit Bianca like a tidal wave, pushing her back a step. The world around her spun. The last time she'd seen Julio was in that dark alley, his threats echoing in her ears. She had done everything to leave him behind. "Mummy!" Leah cried, tugging at her sleeve, unaware of the storm raging. "No, no, no!" Bianca's heart raced. The sharp edges of panic dug into her chest. "This isn't happening," she murmured, desperately fighting against the gravity of the situation. Juliana's eyes darted about the lobby, as if searching for a way to escape. "I tried to warn you, Bianca. He's been looking for you. He's dangerous." The tension thickened, becoming almost palpable. Bianca squared her shoulders, pulling Leah closer. "I'm not afraid of him," she snapped, trying to project strength even as doubt crept in. But Juliana wasn't finished. "He's not just dangerous. She hesitated, fear coursing through her. "He's got something important to tell you. Something about Leah." Bianca's blood ran cold. The words were draped in shadow, pulling at a question she was too terrified to voice. What could he want with Leah? "Mommy, I'm scared," Leah whimpered. Her small frame shook with uncertainty. "Stay behind me, sweetheart," Bianca promised, though her own heart threatened to betray her. The lobby had quieted, suspicion hanging thick in the air. Eyes were wide, curiosity now tinged with concern. Just then, the elevator doors slid open with a soft ding. All eyes turned, and out stepped a familiar figure, Julio, looking sturdier than she remembered. His gaze swept the room, landing directly on Bianca. The roar of silence filled her ears. She could feel every heartbeat thrumming, a rapid tattoo of fear. His expression was a mix of anger and regret, but there was something else. Something darker swirling behind his eyes. "Bianca," he called, voice deep and unsettling, slicing through the tension like ice cutting through warm water. "I've come for my daughter." Horror crashed over her. The pieces of her life, her hopes unraveling in an instant. But then she noticed it, a slight twitch at the corner of his mouth. Almost a smirk. Just what did he mean by that? In that moment, amidst the gasps and wide eyes, everything changed. A secret unraveling, ties binding her to Julio were fraying, threatening to snap. Bianca's world threatened to implode. and as she looked down at Leah, confusion and fear reflected back at her. A mother's instinct warned her that the truth might be darker than she ever imagined. "Mommy?" Leah's voice trembled on the edge of a whisper, sounding like a plea. Bianca opened her mouth to respond, yet no words came. The air crackled with tension, and suddenly, everything she thought she knew was teetering on the brink. The past had returned. No longer a memory, but a reality, ready to shatter everything she fought for. Bianca's pulse quickened as Julio's voice sank into the room. "I've come for my daughter." The words twisted in her gut, turning the air thick, pushing every breath into her throat. She glanced at Leah, who clung to her leg, eyes wide. But before she could think, a loud crash echoed, shattering the tension. A glass door slammed open and a figure stumbled in, wild-eyed and gasping. Time froze. "Stop! Don't hurt her!" The voice was frantic. It was Sarah, the office manager, known for her calmness, now panting with fear. A small commotion erupted. Shock rippled through the lobby as eyes darted between the newcomers. "Mummy!" Leah's grip tightened and Bianca's heart splintered. "Mummy, what's happening?" Panic clung to the girl's voice. Each word, "Stay behind me," Bianca whispered, her voice a mere thread, terrified of the chaos unfurling around them. "Bianca, you need to listen." Sarah stumbled closer, eyes locked onto Julio. "Everything you know, everything you think is happening, it's wrong. You don't understand. What are you talking about?" Bianca's voice trembled, confusion and fear battling in her chest. The room felt like a pressure cooker, every moment tightening her throat. "Julio, he's not who you think he is." Sarah focused on Bianca, her gaze fierce, drowning out the murmurs of the crowd. "He's not just your past. He's part of something bigger, something dangerous." Bianca's mind reeled. The world blurred as memories of Julio's threats loomed in her thoughts. He had always been the monster in her story, the face of her fears. But now? "What are you saying?" Bianca's voice turned sharp, fear giving way to anger. "Listen! You don't know the truth about Leah." Sarah's eyes were wide, shimmering with urgency. "The man who raised him, he's involved with dangerous people. Julio's not just a deadbeat. He's connected to something illegal. There are people after him." Suddenly, Julio's expression shifted, a flicker of fire lighting up his eyes. "That's not true! I'm doing this for us, Bianca!" He stepped forward, desperation clawing at his voice. "Us? After all you've done?" Bianca shot back, words laced with venom. "You think this is for us? Bianca!" Sarah's voice cut through the escalating tension. "We've been watching. They're here, in the city. They want Leah. They think she has something they need." The weight of the statement echoed in the air. Bianca's heart raced as her mind tried to grasp what Sarah was saying. "What do you mean she has something they need?" Before anyone could answer, the elevator doors opened again. A group of rough-looking men spilled into the lobby, each one carrying a hard edge, their eyes scanning like predators. The room froze. Gasps filled the air, a wave of fear rolling through the crowd. People backed away. Whispers of danger spiraled like smoke around them. "Julio!" one of the men shouted, voice booming, cutting the silence. "We know you're here!" Everything spiraled. Julio's face went pale, his bravado crumbling, replaced by fear. He turned to Bianca, eyes wide. "Bianca, we have to go!" But Bianca felt rooted, limbs heavy. The truth started to unfurl, and behind it lay a shadow of betrayal. Leah stood behind her, oblivious. And in that moment, the weight of the past collided with a new and terrifying reality. Suddenly, the ground beneath her felt unsteady. What could she been shielding Leah from? Did she even know the truth about her own daughter? Fear gripped her heart like a vice. "Mummy?" Leah's small voice echoed loudly against the chaos, looking up at her with trust. "I'm scared." As everything closed in, Bianca took a deep breath, her mind racing. She had come here to fight for a better future, and now it appeared they were all caught in a game much larger than herself. The crowd tensed, waiting, their eyes wide with horror and disbelief. And in that electric moment, a single thought pierced through every fear. The truth was about to unravel, and this was only the beginning of a fight that would change everything. What was real and what was a facade? As cracks began to show in their reality, who could she truly trust? The crowd was frozen, eyes darting between Julio and the entrance. Silence swallowed the air, thick with fear and uncertainty. Bianca's heart raced. She held Leah close, feeling the tremor in her daughter's small body. "Mummy, what's happening?" The innocence in Leah's voice cut like a knife. Suddenly, the doors slammed open again, this time with an urgency that made everyone jump. A man burst in, shirt torn, eyes wild with desperation. "Look out!" he shouted, panic tattooed across his face. Bianca instinctively stepped in front of Leah, her breath hitching. "Get away from here!" she screamed, but the man wasn't aiming for her. "Julio!" he yelled, pointing directly at him. "They're coming! They know we're here!" Julio's face morphed into confusion, then horror. "What do you mean, they?" "Julio, we don't have time," the man urged, his voice cracking. "You have to run, they're after you, and they want Leah." The crowd gasped in unison, fear echoing like a thunderclap. Bianca's mind spun. "What do you mean? Why would they want my daughter?" "Too late!" the man shouted, turning as footsteps thundered from the elevators. He glanced back, eyes wild. "I'm not letting them take her." "Who are you?" Bianca shouted, stepping closer to Julio, her pulse racing. "Your brother," he blurted out, a truth that hung shockingly in the air. A brother? This stranger, standing in the lobby claiming kinship. Everything Bianca thought she knew, shattered. "I've been trying to protect you." "Protect me?" She felt the ground slip beneath her. From what? From who? A chilling laugh pierced the growing tension behind her. A figure appeared, dressed in a well-tailored suit, flanked by two men whose faces were chiseled with menace. "Well, well, look who we have here," the stranger said, eyes gleaming. "The family reunion we've all been waiting for." Bianca's heart turned to ice. "What do you want?" Her voice quaked, realization dawning. "Everything," the man smirked, his tone smooth like oil. "Julio's debts run deep. And your little girl? Let's just say she's the key to settling them." "Mummy!" Leah whimpered, clutching her tightly. A sudden noise echoed. A gunshot. The crowd erupted into chaos. People screamed, ducking for cover. Julio pushed Bianca back, shielding her and Leah. "You have to get out of here!" "Not without you!" she shouted, fear clawing at her throat. This wasn't a game anymore. It felt like a nightmare. The suited man smiled, drawing a gun from his waistband. "We're not leaving without what we came for." Everything collapsed into a whirlwind. Bianca's instincts kicked in. "Run!" she screamed at Leah, pushing her towards the nearest exit. But before she could follow, Julio lunged forward, grabbing the gunman's arm. "No! Get out of here! Protect her!" Time slowed. With a deafening crack, another shot rang out. Julio fell, hitting the floor with a thud. "No!" Bianca screamed, eyes wide. The ground beneath her felt like it was splitting open. "Mommy!" Leah cried, tears streaming down her face. In that moment, the shocking reality of betrayal and family crashed down on Bianca. Was her past really over? Or was it just beginning? As chaos surrounded them, one thought pierced through. Everything she thought she knew was a lie. As she stood there, paralyzed with fear, she realized something hard and cold. This was only the beginning. The fight for her daughter's life and her own was far from over. "What have I done?" she whispered, knowing they were about to plunge into darkness. The truth had come to claim them, and she had to decide, fight or flee. Bianca's heart raced. The sharp echo of the gunshot still buzzed in her ears. Julio lay motionless, his face pale against the cold marble floor. Panic surged within her like a tidal wave. Every instinct screamed for her to flee with Leah. But terror rooted her in place, each breath a battle against the rising chaos. "Mummy!" Leah cried, clinging to her leg. Bianca's stomach knotted as she glanced down at her daughter, so innocent, so oblivious to the danger cascading around them. The crowd was a sea of fear, eyes wide, whispers merging into a cacophony of confusion. "Get out! Get out!" people shouted, scrambling for the exits. The suited man, his menace palpable, shifted his focus between Julio and the frantic crowd. "Finish what you started!" he shouted to the men beside him. They moved as if in slow motion, stepping forward with guns raised. Bianca's breath quickened. "No!" She grabbed Leah tight, shielding her daughter as best as she could. But she couldn't protect her from the horror unraveling before them. Suddenly, a figure burst through the double doors. A police officer, all authority and bravery. "Everyone down! Now!" he barked, voice slicing through the panic. Bianca hit the floor, pulling Leah beneath her. But what happened next was unimaginable. The suited man turned, eyes widening as he stepped back, retreating from the officer's command. "We're not finished yet!" he spat. But then there was a muffled explosion, the sound of a gunshot. The officer jerked, a pained expression crossing his face as he stumbled backward. Then everything descended into chaos. "Mummy!" Leah screamed again, her small voice breaking through Bianca's shock. And just then, the unexpected happened. The suited man dropped to the ground, his body limp, eyes staring into space. The world went still. The crowd held its collective breath. Confusion swirling thick in the air. Bianca's mind raced. Who had done it? Was it the officer? But no! Another figure appeared from the shadows at the entrance. Slender, tall, a familiar face. It was Juliana, tears streaming, holding a gun. "Bianca! I didn't know what else to do!" Juliana cried, her voice raw. "He was going to hurt her! Juliana, no!" Bianca yelled, heart pounding in disbelief. "What have you done? I thought I could help!" Juliana stumbled forward, her face a mask of anguish. "I've been following him. He was looking for Leah." Leah clung to Bianca tighter, eyes wide with fear. "Mummy, please don't let her hurt you." Bianca felt her world shatter into pieces around her. "You knew?" She struggled to comprehend Juliana's words. "You knew everything? Bianca, please!" Juliana's voice cracked, panic evident. "There's no time! You have to understand!" "Understand what?" Bianca raised her voice, fear and rage mingling. "That you put my daughter in danger! That you shot someone!" Just then, from among the chaos, Julio let out a groan. Slowly, he sat up, blood seeping through his shirt. The sight sent a shockwave through Bianca. Her heart twisted. Should she feel relief? Anger? I told you to keep her safe," he breathed, voice strained. Her mind raced as desperation clawed at her throat. Safe. "How have you kept her safe, Julio?" But before he could answer, a new sound erupted, a crackling behind Bianca. She turned to see men storming through the entrance, more determined and ruthless than before. A flood of realization hit her. They weren't just after Julio. They had come for Leah. "Run! Get out!" she shouted, adrenaline surging. She grabbed Leah's hand. "We have to go!" But as they moved, that's when the truth came crashing down. Another figure stepped forward from the fray. A face so familiar, it froze Bianca. It was Sarah, the office manager, holding a phone and a grim expression. "I'm sorry, Bianca. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Everything swirled. Betrayal stung like ice." "What did you do?" Her voice trembled. "They've been watching. You don't understand." The weight of her words hung heavy, shattering the last threads of trust. And in that electric moment, surrounded by chaos, a realization struck hard. The game was changing. Every truth she thought she knew was unraveling, and all she could think about was protecting Leah from a world that was spiraling into darkness. As the men approached, all danger and intent, Bianca's heart raced. Uncertainty filled the air. The fight was only beginning, and secrets long buried were about to explode. Bianca's heart felt like it might explode. The chaos around her felt unreal. A blur of shouting, fear, and eyes filled with panic. She held tight to Leah, the little girl's grip like a lifeline. Then, just as the tension reached its peak, something unexpected happened. From the far side of the lobby, a loud crash shattered the air. A massive glass panel came tumbling down, sending shards scattering across the marble floor. Everyone froze, eyes wide, mouths agape, and in that moment of confusion, the suited man looked around, his expression changing from anger to horror. "What the hell?" he shouted. The attention shifted, and as Bianca tried to grasp what was happening, a woman stepped through the wreckage, dressed in black, hair pulled back tightly, eyes wild and fierce. It was Sarah. "Bianca!" she cried, voice breaking through the chaos. "You have to listen! I know who the real enemy is!" Sarah's eyes widened, desperation spilling out. He's been using Julio to get to you. He needs Leah for something he's planning. A deal gone wrong, with people who won't stop until they get what they want. A sense of betrayal ripped through Bianca. Her father? The man she had looked up to all her life? The man she thought was a savior? No! She shouted, shaking her head. He would never do that! But deep down, doubt coiled tight in her chest. Leah tugged on her sleeve, eyes full of fear. Mummy, I want to go home. Not now, sweetie, Bianca replied, her voice shaking. Stay close to me. Pandemonium unfolded. The men raised their guns, moving closer, determining who posed the bigger threat. But they couldn't know what was coming next. Sarah, still shouting, continued. Bianca, please, I can help. We need to expose him before he gets to Leah. In that moment, the crowd erupted with shock. Is she serious? Someone whispered. Her father? Tension thickened like fog as hands tightened on weapons, ready for a confrontation. But then, out of nowhere, the sound of sirens blared outside. The police had arrived, and a sense of urgency electrified the air. Suddenly, the suited man began to retreat. This isn't over, Julio, he shouted, glaring at Bianca before he turned to flee. Julio, still on the ground, struggled to sit up. Get down, he yelled, pushing himself to his feet, though blood trickled down his face. Bianca felt torn, confused. Her thoughts raced, battling the fear of her father's involvement against the need to protect her daughter. What do we do? In that frantic moment, another loud bang echoed. The door to the lobby burst open again, and a group of officers flooded in, weapons drawn. Hands up! Everyone down! They commanded, voices sharp and authoritative. Bianca couldn't breathe. She clutched Leah tightly, panic overwhelming her. And just then, amidst the chaos, she noticed a figure standing frozen by the entrance. It was her father, his expression inscrutable. Daddy, she whispered, heart pounding. His eyes locked onto hers, filled with an emotion she couldn't decipher. As the officers moved to apprehend everyone, something shifted in the room. You don't understand, he shouted, desperation threading through his voice. I did this for you, Bianca. The officer turned to him. Get down on the ground, now! And just like that, everything spiraled out of control. A family once full of love and hope now lay bare, tangled in lies and secrets. Bianca felt the ground tremble below her. She never wanted this. Was everything she believed about her past a facade? A single thought pierced through the chaos. Who could she trust? The truth began unraveling, leaving nothing but a haunting question. Would her father do anything to protect her? Or to destroy her? Bianca's heart pounded as she stared at her father, the man who had always been her rock. Confusion twisted inside her. How could he possibly be tied to this web of danger? Sirens blared outside, and she felt the weight of the moment bearing down, every second stretching like taffy. Daddy, she called, voice trembling. You can't be involved in this. The officer shouted again. Get down, now. His voice cracked through the air like thunder. Bianca looked back at Leah. Her daughter's tiny face was pale, tears brimming in those trusting eyes. But then her father stepped forward, defiance in his stance. "Bianca, listen to me. I never wanted you to get mixed up in this. Not like this." The suited man who had just fallen stirred. A sudden gasp echoed through the crowd. "You think you can save her?" he rasped, still lying on the floor, blood pooling beneath him. "You'll regret this." Before anyone could react, chaos erupted. A loud crash reverberated from the entrance, and everything changed in an instant. A group of masked individuals stormed in, all dressed in black. They moved like shadows, marching with a purpose that sent the crowd into fresh panic. "Get the girl!" one shouted, their voice sharp like a knife slicing through the fog of confusion. Bianca's stomach dropped. "Leah, run!" she screamed, pushing her daughter toward the nearest exit, fear kicking her into action. But as she turned to follow, something shifted, like the ground shifting under her feet. The masked figures raised their weapons, and the suited man suddenly sprang to life, lunging for them. "No, stay back!" Juliana shouted, stepping protectively in front of Bianca. Everyone froze then. In a moment of out-of-body clarity, Bianca's eyes met her father's, searching for answers where there were none. "Bianca!" her father began, desperation crawling into his voice. Then, without warning, the suited man, shaking off his previous shock, took aim at Juliana. "You think you can protect them? You're all fools!" Just as he pulled the trigger, time stuttered. A loud crack filled the room, freezing everything for a heartbeat. The impact sent a sudden shudder through the air, and Juliana fell, eyes wide in disbelief, clutching her chest, blood spilling onto the gleaming floor. "No!" Bianca screamed, the sound tearing from her throat as she rushed to Juliana's side. This couldn't be happening. A seconds-long eternity stretched as the world fell away. Nothing existed but the horror unfolding before her. "Bianca!" her father shouted, panic in his voice. But she couldn't hear him. All she could see was Juliana, the girl who had once been like a sister to her, now lying lifeless. Everything around her just noise. Then a realization struck hard and unyielding. Juliana had known something deeper, something hidden beneath layers of family secrets. Her eyes didn't just hold shock, they held betrayal. As sorrow washed over her, doubt gripped her heart tightly. The crowd's murmurs drowned out everything else as they scrambled to clear the scene. Amid the chaos, the masked figures advanced, eyes like flames, every step echoing their intent. "Bianca!" her father shouted again, but his voice felt distant. Her gaze shifted automatically to Leah, who stood frozen, confusion plastered across her small face. "Mummy?" she whispered, fear creeping into her tone. The thought crashed into Bianca like a freight train. What if everything Juliana had said was true? Could her father really be orchestrating this hell? Every moment of safety she had known shattered into a million pieces. "Bianca!" he urged, and she noticed now not all was what it seemed. The masked man stepped forward, voice dripping with menace. "You think you can escape this? Your father has plans for you. Plans that go beyond what you can imagine." The air thickened, dread pooling around her. Confusion twisted into rage. She could sense the betrayal. And with that sense, a storm of clarity rolled in. "This isn't just about us, is it?" Bianca's voice was cold steel. "You've been lying to me my whole life." And in that icy moment, the world tilted. Everyone stood still, a single breath hanging in the air, charged with impending storm, the truth ready to break. "Why?" she demanded, staring down her father, fury igniting her resolve. What had begun as a fight for her daughter's future had become a battle for her very soul, but she was done running. The masked figures moved closer, shadows intertwining with her fears, and in that moment she felt an awakening. The fight was only beginning, and the true nature of the threat was about to unveil. What lay ahead could shatter everything she knew, and it terrified her. Bianca's heart pounded as she stared at her father, the man who had always been her rock. Confusion twisted inside her. How could he possibly be tied to this web of danger? Sirens blared outside, and she felt the weight of the moment bearing down, every second stretching like taffy. "Daddy," she called, her voice trembling. "You can't be involved in this." The officer shouted again, "Get down, now." His commanding voice cracked through the air like thunder. Bianca looked back at Leah. Her daughter's tiny face was pale, tears brimming in those trusting eyes. But then her father stepped forward, defiance in his stance. "Bianca, listen to me. I never wanted you to get mixed up in this. Not like this." The suited man who had just fallen stirred. A sudden gasp echoed through the crowd. "You think you can save her?" he rasped, still lying on the floor, blood pooling beneath him. Before anyone could react, chaos erupted again. A loud crash reverberated from the entrance, and a figure darted into the lobby, wild-eyed and frantic. It was a woman, dishevelled but unmistakably familiar. "Bianca!" she screamed, bursting through the panic, arms flailing. It was their old neighbour, Mrs. Alden, tough as nails, but vulnerable now, her voice shaking. "You have to get out. They've got people watching. They know you're here." She pointed wildly toward the chaos, her fear sending ripples through the crowd. "Who, Mrs. Alden?" Bianca shouted back. "Who's coming?" "Your father! He has enemies!" she yelled, eyes darting around, panic making her tremble. "And they're after more than just you!" Everything stopped. Bianca felt a cold grip of ice wrap around her heart. Her father! Enemies! "Mummy!" Leah cried, squeezing her hand tighter. "Tell me the truth!" Bianca demanded, staring at her father's face, searching for answers. But before he could speak, the entrance swung open again, and there he was, Julio, bloody but alive, leaning against the doorframe, his breath uneven. "Don't let him tell you what to believe," he shouted, voice strained but fierce. "He'll lie to protect himself." A silence fell, pressing down on them like heavy fog. "Get away from us!" Bianca shouted, her voice breaking. Seeing this, Julio stepped forward, his face twisted in pain. "Please, you can't trust him. It's not safe." But then it happened. Mrs. Alden stepped forward, eyes filled with a mix of fear and regret. "Julio, I didn't want to say," she hesitated, swallowing hard. "I can't. Don't listen to her," her father interrupted, urgency spilling from his lips. "It's a trick, a game to keep you—" "Too late." Her words rushed out, tone flat. "Bianca, it's true. I have to tell you before it's too late. Your father's not who you think he is." A weighty hush fell, broken only by the sound of a distant siren growing closer. "Mommy!" Leah whimpered, pressing against Bianca's leg. Bianca's mind whirled. What do you mean? Your mother. Mrs. Alden's voice cracked, emotion spilling over. She didn't die, Bianca. Your father, he kept her hidden. You think she was a tragic victim? It was all a lie. The revelation struck like lightning, her breath caught in her throat. What are you saying? Before Mrs. Alden could respond, chaos erupted again. The masked figures advanced, pushing through the throng, determined and ruthless. A man surged forward, shouting, a gun raised, and time stretched horrifyingly. Get down! The officer's voice thundered again. A moment of pure instinct. At the gun fired, a scream erupted as everything shattered. Bianca's world exploded in noise and chaos. The pain, the sound, a tidal wave crashing. And there, amidst the raw fear, she felt her whole life shifting on its axis. As she dropped to her knees, reality sank like a stone. What had she just discovered? Lies wrapped in layers of deceit. Her father's treachery more profound than she could bear. A shadow flickered at the edge of her vision. Leah was taken, yanked from her grasp. No! Bianca cried, scrambling to her feet, heart pounding. But her world spiraled into darkness as the chaos melted away, leaving her gasping for truth in a storm of questions. Leah's terrified face faded in front of her, but one driving thought pierced through the haze. She'd never known the man she'd trusted the most. Bianca's world exploded in chaos. She couldn't breathe. The weight of everything crushed her, nearly taking her to her knees. Juliana lay there, lifeless. And the memory of laughter and friendship felt like a dagger. With fear clawing at her throat, she turned back to where Leah had been standing. But the panic rushed in a flood. Leah! She screamed, adrenaline surging. She spun around, eyes darting. Where was her daughter? People were running, shoving past her in panic, faces twisted with fear. Time felt stretched. Every second slow and heavy. In the mid of confusion, all she could think of was Leah. She pushed through the throng, searching. Leah! A piercing cry echoed through the chaos, frozen and clear. Mummy! It rang like a bell, cutting through the noise. Bianca surged forward, heart pounding, desperately following the sound. She pushed through the crowd, weaving between frantic bodies. Hold on, sweetie, I'm coming! Just when she reached the front of the chaos, her chest tightened. She saw her father standing there, gripping Leah. The sight made her stomach drop. Let her go! She shouted, the fear making her voice shaky. But her father didn't budge. His gaze was unwavering, like iron. Bianca, you need to understand. Understand what? She felt rage boiling, every past moment flashing before her. You! Suddenly he turned, his grip tightening on Leah's small arm. I'm trying to protect her. All of you. You're in danger. That brought her up short. Danger! From you! The masked men moved in closer. Their earlier intensity, now a threat she could almost taste. They eyed the hostage situation with a terrifying focus. Let her go! A police officer shouted, stepping closer, weapon raised. Desperation thickened in the air. Before anyone could react, a shot rang out. Distant, yet explosive. Chairs toppled, people screamed, and everyone ducked. Bianca's heart seized. She felt her life hanging in the balance. The love for Leah, the fraying bonds with her father, all in the wake of danger. "Mummy!" Leah screamed again, but now in utter despair. It shattered Bianca, a jagged piece of glass tearing her apart. And then time warped again. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught movement. A figure darting toward the escape, as if pulled by a magnetic force. "Look out!" Someone screamed. Bianca's breath hitched. She turned to follow the commotion when an unexpected flash engulfed the room as a colossal explosion erupted outside. The windows shattered, glass raining down like icicles. The floor shook violently, tossing everyone to the ground. "Bianca, get down!" her father shouted, pushing Leah away just as chaos roared to life. Bianca scrambled to shield her daughter, the world blurring around her. The masked men scattered, some grabbing weapons, others rushing toward the exits. The sirens blared loudly now, growing closer, weaving into the adrenaline-coated atmosphere. Leah cried out in terror. "Mummy!" Bianca's heart raced as she crawled to her daughter, instinct kicking in. "I'm here! I'm here!" But then another shocking moment seized her breath. From the shadows, a figure emerged. It was Julio, bloodied but alive, holding a device, something flashing ominously. "Bianca, get the girl and go!" he shouted, terror etched across his face. "They're here for her!" The ground beneath them trembled again, vibrations echoing. They weren't done yet. Before she could question him, he pressed a button on the device. "This will keep them off our trail." "What have you done?" Panic surged through her veins. But before he could respond, she saw the truth in his eyes. Desperation. He hurled the device toward the armed men, and an explosion rang out. Time stood still as she clutched Leah close. And in that moment of utter shock, she felt a familiar weight behind her. The truth became clear. Her father was not just there as a protector. He was entwined in this pain. What had she gotten into? The pieces twisted around her, unraveling the very fabric of her world. But from the fire and the chaos emerged a single thought. Everything was a lie. "Mummy!" Leah's voice pulled her back, grounding her. The world began to fade, leaving a singular focus burning within her chest. Would they make it out alive? What had they unleashed? Bianca turned back, looking at both men with newfound clarity. "I will protect my daughter at all costs." And as the chaos built around them, she realized with jolting clarity the real fight was just beginning. As the chaos swirled around her, Bianca's heart raced. She could feel the heat of the moment pressing down on her. The sirens wailed closer now, mixing with the panicked voices echoing through the lobby. "Stay close, Leah!" she shouted, wrapping her arms around her daughter as they crouched behind a marble column, heartbeats synchronizing with the growing terror. Julio staggered to his feet, the pain etched on his face. "Bianca, we need to..." But the words hung in the air as the masked figures advanced, their eyes locked on Leah with ruthless intent. "No!" Bianca cried, monstrous protectiveness surging through her. "You'll never take her!" She tightened her grip, feeling the tremors in her hands. A flash of anger ignited inside her. She wasn't going to let anyone tear her family apart again. Suddenly, from the chaos, Mrs. Alden's voice pierced through. "Bianca, this way!" She pointed toward a side door. Panic painted across her features. With no time to waste, Bianca made eye contact with Julio, who nodded, determination flooding his expression. "Go!" he urged, but Bianca hesitated, fear for her father flickering against the backdrop of her daughter's safety. "It's not safe!" her father shouted, his voice desperately trying to reach through the noise. "They won't stop until they have what they want!" "Mummy, I'm scared," Leah whimpered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Keep running!" Bianca urged, pulling her daughter along as she bolted toward the side door. Just like that, they were on the move, hearts pounding like drums being played in frantic rhythm. The corridor was dark and narrow, but the flickering lights flickered like fading hope. Outside, the blaring sirens pierced the air. With her mind racing, Bianca focused on one thing: getting Leah to safety. Suddenly, she heard a commotion behind them. A glass shattering and muffled protests echoed from the lobby. "You won't escape! Get them!" The words felt like a twisted promise. Bianca pressed forward, urgency pulling them into the night. They burst outside into the cool air. The city lights, twinkling like stars, scattered across a sky of uncertainty. Hand in hand, they ran, feet pounding against the pavement. But then, a sharp pain raced through her heart. Thinking of her father, she halted. "We can't leave him! Bianca, he's part of this!" "Oh!" Julio shouted, breathless. "No, he's still my father!" The anguish in her voice was undeniable. But before she could ponder any longer, a figure emerged from the shadows. Her heart stopped. It was Juliana, bloodied but fierce, standing defiantly against the oncoming threat. "I'll hold them off! Just go!" "Juliana?" Panic swept through Bianca. "You can't! Don't argue! I've lost too much! This ends now!" Juliana adjusted her grip on the weapon, resolve burning bright in her eyes. Without another word, Bianca turned, the pain of goodbyes lingering in the cold air. They raced down the street, the sounds of sirens growing louder behind them, hope driving them forward. Later, as they reached a safe distance, Bianca clutched Leah against her, cradling the little girl's face with trembling hands. "We made it! We're okay!" But the truth hung heavily in the air. What had they just escaped? What would they face next? I don't understand," Leah whispered, eyes searching for clarity. "It's okay, honey. We'll figure it out together," Bianca reassured her, though uncertainty coiled in her stomach. As they turned to look back, dark shadows lurked in the distance, threats still lingering. This was just a chapter, the beginning of a fight they hadn't yet fully grasped. And there was one thing she needed to do. "We'll keep running, we'll find answers." But first, she took a deep breath, facing her daughter with determination. "I will never let anyone hurt you again." With a nod, they stepped into the night, their journey far from over, yet filled with newfound strength. But as the city settled into its restless pulse, one thing lingered in Bianca's mind. A secret she hadn't told Leah yet. A mystery that felt heavier than anything they had faced before. And if you want to join us on more incredible journeys like this one, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. Don't miss our next exclusive stories. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and help us grow. We love reading your thoughts, so flood the comments with your theories and reactions. And share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know how this ends. This is the moment to show your support. Let's keep this community thriving.